So Matthew, another major trend is artificial intelligence and this concern about the job apocalypse versus the wealth that's being created by AI. What are your viewpoints?
It is a huge subject, and certainly one that's front and center and has been probably since 2022.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very difficult. One, it's fascinating. This is something we've never seen before.
Right.
I think it is evolutionary to a degree that you pretty much, I've got to go back and say, last thing like the internet.
Yeah, at least.
I would guess. And so the two schools of thought. One of which is, oh no, AI is going to take over, everyone's going to be out of work, and what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. I think that's a bit of a short-sighted way of looking at it. But right now it is still very early. And right now everyone's thinking about it. Why? Well, look at the largest corporations that we have in the nation. In fact, globally, I mean, the capex that they're spending, capital expenditures, is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So everyone is literally all in, going down that road. So therefore, because of that, yes, you get that euphoria. On the other side, yeah, will it take up or take out a lot of jobs? I think certainly it will, there's no question. But is that necessarily a bad thing? I think you have to look at the evolution as well. So yeah, it's still very early. I think that there's a lot of assumptions still being made.
Right.
Adoption levels still are not there. I think we need to go down this road a bit further before. I mean, even Morgan Stanley, for example, who said, 300,000 jobs lost globally to AI.
Right.
Well, that's 4/5 of the population of America. They then came out with another paper, I believe last week, saying, the job losses might not be as bad as we had anticipated. So,
well, and from a perspective, it's also a tool that can be used to create even greater efficiencies, to perform even better. That productivity, is going to hit the bottom line and make these companies even more valuable. I mean, who could ignore? I mean, obviously, NVIDIA is benefiting from the boom because they're printing the chips that are being acquired everywhere. I mean, all the major tech titans, I think the statistic is an average of more than $10 billion per quarter being invested in this new trend. So these companies are going to look differently on the other side of this boom. And, there will be kind of reshaping of some jobs, but will the total job losses as a result ultimately be a greater impact to the wealth that's being created by these stocks that are all at meteoric highs?
You mentioned productivity. That's a great starting point because do I expect to see significant productivity gains because of AI? Absolutely. So that's good. It's good for the bottom line of companies. Therefore, it's good for their share price if they're publicly traded. So that's the positive. Is it going to make us more productive as individuals? Yes. Are we also going to see some spin-offs that are going to occur? Because everyone worries. When you think about it, when you saw job losses, let's say in the early 2000s with the dot-com bust, that we saw very specifically here in Seattle. Everyone's like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. We're losing all these jobs in tech. Well, these were people that, they were laid off, but they weren't sitting on unemployment for 4 years.
Right.
They started doing other things.
Right.
And so it's very easy to say doom, gloom, and despondency in terms of job losses. But I think some of the lower skilled, more repetitive tasks, they will be done by AI more than anything else. That is going to increase productivity, but it allows people's time to start looking at other things. So whereas they were doing mundane tasks, now they can be doing something else. So I'm excited about it.
Well, if you look at the total job losses in tech, it's over 10,000 now in the last several years. But there's actually been more tech in migration from California alone in total body count from what those job losses were. So does that put us at about a neutral place in the housing market?
Yes, I would certainly say that. But again, you think about some of these tech people that were laid off, they're doing something else.
Right.
They're not squirreling money away saying, okay, what do I do now? So yeah, I'd say we're probably at a push. And certainly we continue to see that migration out of California.
Right.
California's lost population every year for the last 3 years. That's never happened in history.
Right.
And they're coming north. And this is a market and a state and a region that they're attracted to. So yeah, I'm actually at the longer term cautiously optimistic. I think there's a long way to go when you think about AI and its utilization, point one. Point two would be the power consumption, which is astronomical. And so how can that be met? You mentioned NVIDIA. Yeah, it's. I mean, certainly the numbers they reported a couple of days ago were amazing.
Yes.
I mean, revenues
It's
of
a $4 trillion company
46.
now.
Yeah, largest company in the planet. But revenues of $46 billion last quarter. I mean, it's a lot of money. However, yeah, I think that it's going to take some time. But again, looking forward, well, they're growing, but they're still excluding any sales to China. And that, well, going down a road probably a bit too deep, but I think that this is something which is not going to go away.
Right.
But it's something which I think is going to change the way we work, the way we live.
Well, and it's going to cause other demands too. I mean, obviously the Northwest is a hotbed of AI and data centers. We've got available land, we've got solar energy, we got inexpensive hydro energy in Grant County, for instance. You should see the size of the projects that are going on there. We've got all the large tech titans here. Even NVIDIA alone, I think the estimates are about 10% of their workforce, and a growing workforce, are inbound here to the Seattle Bellevue metro area. So you look at that as a wealth transfer as well,
yes,
out of California into our region, which is going to drive some housing demand.
Yeah, it will. So again, I think it's when you look at these massive shifts that we're seeing right now, it's scary. And so what it does tend to, people go down one of two roads. Either this is going to be brilliant for everyone, or this is a death spiral and it's going to be horrible for everyone. I don't see either. I think it's still early. I think that we are going to see that AI infrastructure evolve very quickly, but it's still going to take a long time before we see its complete adoption. Can it be positive for markets that have high-tech talent? And we do, there's no question about it. And so I'm pretty excited to see how this plays out. Is it going to be a huge negative for our region? No, I think it'll be a positive.
And you got to trust the leaders at these tech companies. They know what they're doing at Microsoft, at Amazon, at Meta, and so on. And they are using these tools to be a better version of themselves. Mm-hmm. And some of these companies are 30, 40 years old that became multi-trillion-dollar companies. NVIDIA did it much quicker than the average bear. But what they've all done is they've gone through massive transformative events in the industry, such as the internet itself, right? And look at them now. So I would suggest to you that if they have a trajectory of growth and that their stock values are a future predictor of where they think these economies are going, then they only see this as a benefit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. You mentioned the stock market. Yeah, I mean, stock price is what? It's based upon expectations of future earnings. That's how you set a stock value. And certainly we're at all-time highs now. And I mentioned earlier on the capital expenditures that all these major companies, the amount of money they're spending is extraordinary. Now, that's good in some respects, but also the knock-on effect, because that CapEx creates additional jobs. And so whether it's in construction, it's any plethora of different industries that will benefit from that money being spent. And it's being spent, and it's a lot.
Well, and that center of gravity is shifting north. Let's be honest. I mean, the primary market would be Silicon Valley, Santa Clara, and home to many of these large tech companies as a headquarters. But what people don't realize is that some of the largest headquartered companies in the Bay Area have massive satellite offices here because of recruiting and retention, cost of living, and taxation, which we'll touch on in a minute. But I would submit that we, if not number two, are making a run for number one most impacted market by AI. So it's got to be part of the conversation in housing and, watching those trend lines before they become headlines.
I think you're absolutely right.